Attorney General Pam Bondi's ordered the FBI to compile a list of what the Justice Department is calling domestic terrorist organizations. Last week, Bondi sent a memo to all federal prosecutors and law enforcement agencies targeting a wide range of people, including those who hold what she calls, quote, extreme views in favor of mass migration and open borders, adherence to radical gender ideology, anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, or anti-Christianity, unquote. The memo also targets people who show, quote, hostility towards traditional views on family, religion, and morality.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. It was just a couple months ago that President Trump declared his intention to designate Antifa a domestic terror organization. He also said he'd go after other organizations and individuals funding protests against his administration. Here he is, in case you needed a reminder.
Do you plan on designating Antifa finally a domestic terror organization?
I would do that 100%, and others also, by the way. But Antifa is terrible.
Are there other groups that you can make up?
There are other groups, yeah, there are other groups. We have some pretty radical groups, and they got away with murder. And also, I've been speaking to the Attorney General about bringing RICO against some of the people that you've been reading about that have been putting up millions and millions of dollars for agitation.
In the wake of these statements, we sounded the alarm on this show and on this network. Predictably, our concerns were dismissed by almost everyone in the Republican Party. We were told that Trump's DOJ would never go so far as to designate opposition groups as terrorist entities. Turns out, it's even worse than we thought. This newly leaked memo from the DOJ broadens the definition of domestic terrorism to a terrifying degree. Theoretically, it could cover this show. It almost certainly covers the work that Kris Goldsmith does as president of Veterans Fighting Fascism. I asked Kris to come on and talk about what this new policy means for him and his work, and honestly, for all of us. Here's our conversation. Kris, welcome back to the show. I think we might make some news today because you just said, and you're going to have to bring me up to speed. I haven't finished the entire memo yet, but the Attorney General just issued a memo on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. And from my quick scan of it, this is like 1930s stuff. It's designating opponents of the regime as terrorist entities and bringing the full weight of the federal government and the law down on them. And by opponents of the regime, I'm talking about you. Is that how you read this?
So funnily enough, as news broke about Pam Bondi issuing this December 4 memo instructing all law enforcement agencies, all federal prosecutors to start implementing the executive order that Donald Trump signed in addition to the presidential memorandum on national security, about hunting Antifa, like she's giving the actual instructions. I think most legal experts who looked at the executive order and the National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 and thought that they were kind of like unenforceable because they were so ridiculous and it would result in a bunch of lawsuits. But this is the Attorney General actually putting those orders into plain language for federal prosecutors, for investigators at the FBI, DOJ, and all the rest to start implementing. And what it is basically the reverse of what I've been doing with my career for the last 5 years. Instead of hunting fascists who are hate-filled, violent, sometimes terrorists, they're branding all of Antifa, which I am, as terrorists and instructing law enforcement to bring the full weight of the law against us.
And the surveillance state. It's not just the prosecutorial functions. I would imagine there is going to be some bot scrubbing this YouTube show and the podcast and picking up on the fact that Kris Goldsmith is self-identifying as Antifa. There's not a question in this, but I mean, the federal government has enormous powers that mostly remain invisible until they decide to exercise them. And then it is shocking what they can do.
That's right. and I am someone who has been working with law enforcement for years, though I haven't heard from, I guess, my now former FBI handlers since last year. I have been cooperating with law enforcement to put neo-Nazis in jail for a few years. I've been ahead of January 6th. I was infiltrating extremist organizations and handing off evidence of the FBI about their plans to invade and clear the Georgia state capitol. They filmed this, and they said that they were planning to clear it of jihadists, like the Georgia state capitol was a target for ISIS. So I know, what kind of evidence can be collected by civilians and sent to the FBI. And in this memorandum, it talks about creating a bounty hunting system where they are going to start paying out tipsters to infiltrate so-called Antifa groups and to provide information on people who are fighting for our democracy.
And they have tested this bounty system in other domains. Texas notoriously deployed a bounty system for people to report on women who were seeking abortions, seeking, in some cases, life-saving medical care. And if you turned one of them in and a prosecution resulted, you could get $10,000. I can't imagine a quicker way to sell your soul. Mm-hmm. But anyway, can you talk about what you and I mean when we say Antifa? And I love your framing. Antifa, just like Grandpa. Look, I've got the shirt, Fight Fascists with me. What do we mean by Antifa?
Yeah, so the American Army is the largest and most successful anti-fascist organization in history. Antifa is short for anti-fascist. Yeah. So if you're anti-Antifa, you are anti-fascist.
You're pro-fascist.
Anyone who remembers math from elementary school, two negatives, negate one another. So if you're anti-Antifa, you're fascist, which I don't think that at this point, Donald Trump would argue against. We saw the meeting where he met with Mamdani, a journalist, said, Mayor-elect Mamdani, you called Trump a fascist. Have your beliefs changed? And Trump stopped him from answering and said, no, it's okay. And basically admitted, I don't know if he realizes this because he's not all there, but he, sitting at the Resolute desk, allowed the media to truthfully say that the president said it's okay to call him a fascist. That's not where I thought we'd be. As a threat analyst who's predicted a lot of bad shit, I did not think that in the year of 2025 that President Trump would sit at the Resolute desk in front of cameras and call himself a fascist.
Last minute shopping during the holidays is the worst. You're running out of ideas, the stores are packed, and forget about finding parking. Aura Frames is the best last minute solution, a gift that actually feels thoughtful and personal. I'm one of those people who struggles with ideas for what to get my wife and family. I want something meaningful, something that doesn't feel rushed. And honestly, that pressure usually makes me procrastinate. Aura Frames, in my opinion, is the single best gift for that. Here's why. Aura Frames lets you share photos or videos from any device, and they instantly appear on the frame, wherever it is in the world, at your home, your office, or someone's home across the country or across the world. The frames are gorgeous. They display photos in true color, and they automatically adjust to the light in the room. When you turn out the lights at night, the frame turns off too, saving energy and letting you sleep. And the setup, about 2 minutes. Download the Aura app, connect to Wi-Fi, and you're done. Preload your photos before it ships. Add a message before your gift arrives. Keep adding new photos and videos anytime from anywhere. Every frame comes in a premium gift box with no price tag, truly ready to wrap and give. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code KEN at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code KEN. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Hey everyone, it's Ken. Quick break for a shameless pitch for my Substack and Patreon pages. To all of you who have subscribed, thank you. Your support is what makes this show possible. Anytime you see in-person reporting, whether it's trips to Ukraine to show you what is really happening on the ground, or my recent conversations with Congressman Jason Crow and Senator Tammy Duckworth, where we got on-the-record commitments to back hearings into ICE's abuses of power.
People need to know that we're taking names.
All of this only happens with your support. Every dollar that comes in through Substack and Patreon goes back into this show. And with the holidays coming up, you can give gift subscriptions as well. The links are below. Thanks for everything. Your support means the world to me. Back to the show. What are the practical implications of this memo and this articulation of now a policy to make good on Donald Trump's promise to go after his political opponents? I mean, one answer is to be afraid and say, okay, we're not going to say the word Antifa. We're not going to go to the anti-fascist book club meeting anymore. What's your response?
Now's the time to double down. Now's the time, if you've got any layer of privilege, like I have many, you should be describing yourself as an anti-fascist. If you want to make sure that you have cover, define Antifa every time you use the word as you are anti-fascist. But we can't allow the Trump administration to normalize the idea that Antifa is synonymous with terrorism. And I want to encourage people to go and look for this memo that Pam Bondi wrote. It looks to me like just a little bit of formatting hints tells me that maybe ChatGPT wrote this. Maybe that's not a definitive thing. But the language is so overtly political and extremist itself. It talks about radical gender ideology as if it's a terrorist threat.
The inclusion of that specific category should set off all the alarm bells. I mean, the broadening of this definition of terrorism to, by some readings, include people providing gender-affirming care. If you read the document, I think maybe how they want it to be read. I mean, this is as broad as it gets. And if this isn't challenged successfully, I think it gives the executive more power than it's had probably, certainly since World War II and maybe since the Civil War.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I've been talking about on your show for years. I've been referring to the January 6th insurrectionists as terrorists. The definition of terrorism is to use threat or the threat of violence against a state or an entity to achieve political ends. That is, the January 6th insurrectionists used violence to try to end our democracy, to try to kill our elected officials, and seriously harmed a bunch of uniformed police officers in the process. That is terrorism. The Biden administration should have been brave enough to use the accurate terminology when they were prosecuting these people. And now we have an administration that has released terrorists, people who have violated the SAFE Act. The SAFE Act is legislation that ensures entry to women's health clinics. They have released terrorists who have used violence to assault both women seeking care and providers because they are extremists when it comes to their anti-abortion beliefs. They're so extreme that they would hurt or even kill people for those beliefs, that they are arsonists, they are bombers, right? The Trump administration has issued pardons to a lot of terrorists, and they are trying to flip it and go inverse and say, no, actually, it's the people who are defending democracy, who are defending civil rights, who are the actual terrorists. I think that a lot of people heard us over the last few years talking about, black shirts and brown shirts and how the Proud Boys and all of these other unlawful militias were the historical parallel to Mussolini's black shirts and Hitler's brown shirts. But when they're actually pardoning terrorists, people who have firebombed clinics, like, I don't think the history could be more clear. The historical parallel could be more clear. We have reached that point.
Well, the layering onto that is that these aren't compassionate pardons. They are preparatory pardons. They are ensuring loyalty for the next time they need this mob.
Yep.
And that's what we need to be really on guard for. Kris, can you give us an update on offense? I'm not sure if you're able to tease any upcoming guests, but how's the show doing and where can people find it?
The show is doing absolutely great. The next episode, as of this recording, which might be out by the time this episode is released, will be with Officer Harry Dunn, one of the heroic Capitol Police officers who testified before the January 6th committee. We talk about, will democracy survive this? What does justice look like to a man who was a police officer who was assaulted in uniform, and then the people who assaulted him were pardoned and treated as heroes by the current president, who was democratically and fairly elected after that after that assault, right? My show On Offense is all me. It does get a little bit dark. We talk about the worst things, right? But the reason that we talk about all of the worst things is because we want to inspire people to action. We want people to feel hope. Never have we ended an episode of your show, and we will not do it on mine, where we're just going down. We always give people action items. So the action item that you're going to get of this episode of Ken's show is to go to veteransfightingfascism.org and look for our instruction manual on how to be Antifa. We want every American to associate Antifa with patriotism, because Antifa is as American as apple pie. When you think of the heroes of American democracy, the greatest generation who fought the fascists in Europe, like my granduncle who died in the European theater, like all of the other granduncles who survived and fought both on the Atlantic and Pacific side, they were all Antifa. And we are honoring them by not allowing the Trump administration to normalize fascism. We will not normalize ethno purity in these United States. We will not allow them to rob our country and focus all of its power in a single executive. That is not what the Constitution was about. In fact, that's why the Constitution was written. That's why the Declaration of Independence was written, because we are not supposed to be living in an age of monarchs or of singular leaders. So go to veteransfightingfascism.org, join the Anti-Fascist Book Club, start an Anti-Fascist Book Club. Everything that you need is on that website. After that, you don't need me anymore. But if you also want to tune into On Offense, weekly shows, they drop on Wednesdays. Go to weareonoffense.com. We have links to the Valor Media Network on YouTube, which is where we're hosted, and everything else that you need to follow us on social media is there.
We'll put all the links in the show notes. Kris, great having you as always.
Thanks, brother.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.